And eventually you will get to that price range. But it's very important to know the market, what has been selling in that area, what has sold, what's pending, what's active. I mean, there's a variation of a lot of things, but you also want to make sure that you do a good job for your sellers, because the ultimate goal here is to sell their house. Welcome to another episode of Get Real with Liz. And today we're just going to comadrear. We're going to chit chat and talk about real estate and pivoting and mindset and everything that comes along with it.
Yeah, today you got your producer on the show.
That's right.
Do you feel like that's a flex to tell people that like you have a producer?
I know. I'm like, hey, my producer is going to schedule your appointment.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably the best way to like get people to commit a little bit is like because they're talking to somebody else instead of you.
Right.
And that way, because I feel like when you're buddy with people, that gives them the opportunity to like, oh, never mind.
Right.
Or
correct.
like, oh, can we reschedule?
Yeah.
And you wanting to be a friend, go.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Next time.
Yeah.
But it feels more formal and more,
absolutely.
It's on the calendar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting on a calendar is a big thing, especially today. As I like for me doing the podcast shows for anybody, like if you don't get them on a calendar,
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. That's one of the things that we learned with the Tom Ferry. Tom Ferry is one of the real estate gurus, and he says every appointment you have to schedule it in your appointment. If it's not set, then it doesn't exist. So unless you have an actual confirmation that you do have an appointment, you technically have nothing. And
Tom Ferry, what expand on that a little bit?
So he's a real estate guru. He does training for all the major realtors out there. And I actually won a ticket to go see him. I worked super hard when I first got my real estate license. David Hubble, our office manager, broker, he had that incentive that whoever closed the most deals within a certain time frame will get tickets to the Tom Ferry. And obviously I would love to take advantage of any opportunity for training, because in this business, you have to be top of mind. And so anyways, Tom Ferry, he is like the real estate guru. Originally it was Mike Ferry, his father. And I mean, he still does like grassroots, different techniques, and he's more up to date with technology and whatnot. So you can learn a lot from both of them, but the majority of the realtors are under Tom Ferry because he's more, up to code, I would say. And so technology, being out there, videos, all that stuff that he emphasizes in. And so he says that if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. Okay. You don't have appointments. If you don't talk to people, the more people you talk to, the more opportunities you have to schedule appointments. And once the appointments are set, there's a better chance of you getting a deal.
So that's one of like the fundamental things that like for you that you try to keep in mind, like setting appointments on digital, on paper, like actually like reminders and stuff like that.
Correct.
They exist.
Exactly.
So
because if you don't have it in paper, then you're all over the place. And then you don't remember. And you're like, wait, what? Was I supposed to meet them at 3? Or wait, no, at 2? And the next thing you know, days pass by and they're like, hey, I was waiting for you. Didn't we have an appointment? And I was like, what? Totally forgot. So you don't want to do that. You really definitely do not want to do that. You want to make sure you're top of mind and then you write everything down.
Okay. So let me ask you this, with the whole idea of doing those fundamental things. When I go online or on social media, I see a lot of realtors doing the same thing. It kind of feels like copy and paste a little bit. And there's certain things they do that kind of stands out a little bit. How do you approach that? You don't want to be the same as everybody else, but at the same time, you kind of do, because those are fundamental things to do.
Well, it depends, right? So the foundation, you want to make sure that you have the same fundamental foundation, I guess, the standard protocol, depending on what you're trying to do. If you're going to be selling a house or buying, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but for the most part, you do want to stand out because you also want to make sure that you're different from everybody else. Like, what makes you different from the rest of the realtors? What do you have to offer that they don't? Why should they choose you instead of them?
Like for you have eggs. that makes you stand
Eggs,
out. And
eggs
you have
and
your
wine.
own rosé.
That's right.
And you have your own rosé.
Right.
You know?
So my chickens help me produce that,
Yeah.
and then the wine boss helped me produce my rosé. So
Yeah,
it's all about teamwork.
Yeah, because whenever we talk about like gurus,
And now we have the
like
podcast.
that, and now we have the podcast.
Right.
How many realtors do you know out there here in the local area that have a podcast show?
Honestly, I haven't seen anybody. When I first started, there wasn't really anybody. Now I'm starting to see a little bit more people, and which is great, because knowledge is power, and everybody has something to offer themselves, right? So I'm not the same person as the other realtor. So they might have different values, different point of views, different way of them doing business. And then I'm doing my business a certain way. So I'm glad that I inspired some people. I'm so grateful for that because it makes me feel like I'm a ray of sunshine, and I'm lighting up the path. I'm also learning, I'm not an expert or anything, but I love to learn. I like to get involved, and I love to inspire others as well.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that is good about other realtors getting on a podcast show or creating their show, because that way you can technically use their info to promote an idea or a specific fact.
Right.
Like so the one you just had recently.
Right.
She said something about what price you set the house at. Mm-hmm. Just because you price it higher so you can land on the one you actually want might actually drive customers away. Correct.
Yeah. And, everybody has a different strategy on how to price a home. Some of them go at ask, what the value is actually. Some people go over asking. And then some people, I like to be conservative and be under, just because you want to make sure that you get a variety of people, and eventually you will get to that price range. But it's very important to know the market, what has been selling in that area, what has sold, what's pending, what's active. I mean, there's a variation of a lot of things, but you also want to make sure that you do a good job for your sellers, because the ultimate goal here is to sell their house.
Yeah. How long have you had a house for sale for someone?
Well, it's been actually pretty good. I mean, the turnaround here is pretty fast. Right now I do have a new listing. Actually, I have 2 new listings. It also depends on the price point. If you are anything around 750 or under, you will have, as long as it's priced correctly, then it will sell. Anything above that, it's a little bit more harder. Not everybody qualifies for it. So we already set that expectation up front, letting my sellers know, like, hey, this house might sit on the market for a little bit longer. Also, not necessarily the price, but also could they finance it? I mean, there's a lot of factors that you have to take in consideration that could possibly have a property sit on the market a little bit longer. One of them, the main one, is price, obviously. Second is location. And then third will be, condition of the property. Could you finance it? Because not every house you could be able to finance. It will have to be either a cash deal or an investor. And then also, like we were talking about, price range. So right now I have a listing up on Highway 46. It's 50 acres. So we're in the 2 million, but, we have a lot of land, valuable land, that can be an opportunity for a vineyard. They have license to do RV parking there. So there's a lot of opportunities there, but you do need money for it. There is a dwelling, which a dwelling means a property on the property. Yeah. A house on the property, but it needs work on it. So the value is not particular in the house. The value is more in the land. So then we already set that expectation to the seller that it might take a little bit longer. It needs a specific type of buyer to buy that. Somebody that has a vision and can see the potential there. It's a great opportunity. So anybody that owns a vineyard or wants to create a vineyard over there, prime location, or an RV resort. It's a prime location right in between Paso, Robles, and Morro Bay on 46. And then I have a new listing that I just got, and literally when I when my client told me, I need you to help me sell my castle, I thought in my head, like everybody has a word for their property, right? Like my house, I'm like, oh, mi ranchito,
Yeah.
but it's only 3 acres. And it's technically, people think a ranch is like 10 acres or more. But to me, it's my ranchito, even though I have, animals and whatnot. But everybody has a word for their property. And so I thought that she meant like, oh, her castle, like, oh, her house. But when I pulled up to the address, I was literally blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, it literally is a castle. I mean, it's like a Bavarian castle, brick, like the craftsmanship on this property is just amazing. It's like dramatic, the floor, everything. Like pictures do not do its justice. So that property, not anybody can buy. Nobody's gonna just, oh, here, I just want to buy it. I mean, everybody will probably want to buy it, but can they really afford it? It's over $3 million. Not only is the price high, but you have to consider maintenance and, all that stuff that comes with it. So we know that for this property, we just need that one specific buyer. So that's what I'm saying. It just depends. Real estate is amazing because it's all over, like you just don't know what you're going to get. And it's just.
How do you find people to start those conversations and then promote yourself as, hey, let me sell it for you?
Most of the time people, believe it or not, I've been getting a lot of sellers by referrals and word of mouth. So a lot of my clients have been referrals. Originally, when I first started, I became a realtor by default. I didn't become a realtor by choice. I was actually going to go back into the lending side of it. So surprise, now that you got your real estate license, you cannot be a loan officer. For when back then I could have chose which way I wanted to go, right? So now I became a realtor by default. So the first thing that I did, I took a couple pictures. My friend Marcos took some pictures and I created a post and I said, hey, everyone, I'm starting a new career. If you know anybody that's interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate, please send them my way. I would love the opportunity to help them out. And I kid you not, I got bombarded with people. Hey, my friend, my sister, da, da, da. And that's kind of how I started. And then grassroots, like what we were talking with doing door knocking every other day, go door knocking in a specific neighborhood, open houses, take advantage of those open houses for all these new agents that, a lot of the times we feel like entitlement, right? Like, oh, I'm going to be a new agent. Where's my leads? No, like you have to go out there and get the business. Let them know that you're a realtor. I mean, nobody's going to know you're a realtor unless you tell them. If you're not out there promoting yourself, because technically we are our own business, so I have to promote myself. And unless you're promoting yourself, people are not going to know who you are. And you do not want to be a secret agent. Yeah. So to answer your question, most of my clients have been word of mouth and referrals. I do a lot of Instagram. I just started TikTok. I'm not a big fan of TikTok, but I'm learning. But people see that their friends and their families were able to obtain that goal of homeownership. So then they reach out to me and they're like, hey, they send me a message and they're like, hey, I saw that you help so-and-so. Do you think you can help me out? Absolutely. I would love the opportunity to help you out. And that's kind of how it started. And then getting involved in the community a lot. I give back to the community a lot. So for example, this new listing that I just got in Los Osos, open caravan, open houses. Follow me on Instagram so you guys can know when the open houses are. But anyways, I was doing career day and I was just investing my time for the kids. Like I'm about inspiring the youth. And if they want to start in real estate, I give them 110% support. And so anyways, I've been doing career day for over 8 years. And this lady, she's actually a registered nurse and she has her little booth right next to mine. And for the past 8 years, she pickles. She, what's it called? Picks my brain. Yeah. That's what I don't know. Maybe I'm hungry. But anyway, she picks my brain and she was asking me a bunch of questions because she actually does flips. She buys properties, fixes them up and flips them. So she was asking me, should I get my real estate license? Should I do this? Should I do that? And every year, I see her once a year and she asks me a bunch of questions. Last year, in March, she asked me, hey, do you think I should get my real estate license? And I always tell them, absolutely, because you just never know. Everybody is afraid to start something, right? But you don't know if you're going to be good at it unless you try it. So I always encourage everybody, like, hey, if that's something that you want to do, go for it. If you need any help, I'm here. Call me. I'll guide you, whatever. And so apparently I inspired her. So she got her license in November, October, something like that. And this year I saw her and she tells me, hey, I need you to, first she told me, I got my real estate license. You inspired me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Congratulations. And I was super happy for her. And then she tells me, now I need you to sell my house. And I was like, what? Why don't you sell it? You just got your license. And then she's like, no, I don't want to be the face of it. And I don't want to, I don't know anything about it. And I told her, you know what? I would love to help you sell the house. And if you want to shadow me, if you want to team up with me, I would love for you to do that. That way you can get, knowledge and experience. And for the beginning part of it, she didn't want to. She was like, nah, I don't want to get paid. I don't want to do nothing. You deal with it. But at the same time, as much as, you always want to get the deal, I think no better agent for her house, especially with that so much detail on this property, than her. So I told her, look, I know that you say you don't want to be involved, but I think you should. So anyways, finally I convinced her. So now we're co-listing that listing. And she's doing great, but what I'm saying is, like, you just never know where you're planting seeds, because I was doing career day out of the goodness of my heart, just giving my time and not knowing that I have a potential client there. So clients are everywhere. And again, if they like you and they respect you, they'll do business with you. Yeah.
What's the highest number property that you've had to either start selling or sold or whatever? Like what's that? Because you're talking 2 million, 3 million for the other one.
Right. So honestly, the highest price range that I had done up to date was 1.6. And then I just got this new listing. I'm actually co-hosting it with Jorge Cruz, the one on 46, and the 50 acres. and that's 2 million. And then this one is the highest one that I have so far. God willing, it gets sold. We just need the right person to fall in love with this place. You have to go look at it. It's just amazing. It's breathtaking. And not only that, but I could go on and on this property, but every room has views of Morro Rock.
Yeah.
So you're washing your dishes and you're looking at the rock. You're having dinner, you're looking at the rock. You're watching the Raiders game or the Dodgers game and you're looking at the rock. From the master bedroom, you just have to go look at it. Private entrance to Montaña de Oro.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So it has the best of both worlds. So that's the highest one, 3.4.
Well, hopefully you sell it.
Yes.
So one of the things that you and I have been experiencing a lot is there's always something going on that kind of gives us a bump in the road.
Right.
Like right now, I'm looking at the video and it's like,
right.
So
I think what
I want to do right now, no, this is what I'm trying to point out is like I'm push
one of
through.
a kind, Miguel.
we still push through because right now, like it changed the way like it's looking at you. Right. It was zoomed out. For me, it zoomed out and I had to zoom back in. And even right now, it's like going all over crazy.
Pivoting.
So right now we're gonna pause.
Right.
And then we're gonna keep going after I do the hand thingy.
Okay.
And we're back. That's gonna be my like indicator where to cut
it. Okay.
Don't worry, I wasn't recording all that. And then you're probably thinking, "Oh snap!" No. So, what were we talking about before we start having pushing through whatever obstacle, whatever speed bump, whatever it is that's like for some reason always happening when you're here.
Right. Right.
We still push through it.
Right. Pivoting.
Yeah, pivoting.
And honestly, it's like adjusting to everything. Like. Make that pivot. You're going to have obstacles in transactions. We had plenty of
my
obstacles.
goodness.
But the goal here is to everybody to remain calm. There's solutions to every problem. And the goal is always trying to figure out a solution, because problems we're always going to face,
All
right,
the
like right now.
issues, only when you're here, of course.
It's me. It's my energy. It's too strong.
That's one of the things that goes like with somebody who's positive or trying to stay positive. I feel like they get hit the hardest because they're being tested. Whatever higher power it is, I feel like there's like someone going out there. You know what? Let me see how far I can push them.
It's funny you said that because it's true. I mean, everybody sees me personally, like, oh, happy, positive and everything. Even my daughters are like, Mom, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. Yeah. But you have to stay positive and optimistic. We're all going to go through challenges, obstacles, curveballs, whatever you want to call it. I mean, nobody knows really like the behind the scenes of my personal life, but I've been through hell and back. I mean,
yeah.
I can go way back, from Ronnie Keene riots to our house getting shot in LA to, my dad passing away in front of us, to living in Mexico for a couple years. I mean, I can just go on and on and on. Yeah. To taking that leap of faith when I lost my job and my place of living back in 2018. And I just grabbed my girls and I'm like, hey, I think that's a sign, because I believe in signs. Yeah. And I was driving out of the storage and I saw my brother driving my truck and the license plate, it said Grover Beach. And I told my kids, I think that's a sign we're moving to Grover Beach. And of course, my kids were teenagers. So they were like, no, you're not taking us away from our friends. I was the worst mom ever. But now ask them if they want to come back to Paso Robles. They'll say no. They love their life in Pismo Beach. And anyways, I took a leap of faith and I moved my daughters to Grover Beach. And that's when I got my real estate license. I started a new career. I moved to a new place where technically they just gave me the keys to the place and it just, everything aligned. But I always say God never forsakens me. I'm a woman of faith, like I said. And I do believe in positive affirmations and believing in yourself and staying optimistic and very positive, because obstacles and things are always going to happen, but you don't want to get stuck. I read a lot. There's a book called Who Moved My Cheese? I think I don't know if people read that book or not, but it basically talks about the different types of people that, that know exactly where certain things are and it becomes a habit. So then they're like, okay, I'm going to go get that cheese. Today I'm going to go get that cheese, and then they don't try to look outside their scope because they already know that that piece of cheese is going to be there waiting for them. And then there's others that are like, oh my gosh, what if that cheese is gone? We need to start looking for something else. Yeah. And then you have the doubters that are like, oh, well, what if you go look somewhere else and then you lose everything? And then, it's just a different variety of people. And so I'm the type of person that tries to see the good in everything. And I always try to find solutions, problems we're all going to have, but staying positive, optimistic, and finding a solution is very important.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that we have to, it's like when we go through it, I'm saying me too, because obviously, everybody has a story.
Everybody has a story.
But the thing is, like, you have to amplify the good. Right. You have to.
Gratitude.
Yeah. I mean, there's a guy, Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm sure you've heard of him. He talks about it's like 40 trillion to 1 that that you would be alive. That's you have a better chance of winning the lottery than being alive. Right. Like, think about it that way.
Right. And people don't think it like that. No. And they take life for granted. Like, every day is a new opportunity for us to do something. Yeah. Whether, it's not just about making it through the day, but actually living in purpose. Like, what are you grateful for? Once you start being grateful for the little things, more blessings come your way, believe it or not. Like, gratitude is one of the biggest things in my life. Like, we're talking about it on the last episode. Like when I'm running late and I see a green light, yes, thank you, Lord. I know, it just makes it so much easier.
Or a red light.
Yeah.
And you see a crash later.
Exactly. It makes you understand like, oh, there was a reason why I needed to stay in that light, because I could have been that person.
Yeah.
So every scenario, and I think we talked about it with So last week about that whole analogy about the crying baby, things frustrate us a lot, but if you try to turn things around and use it as gratitude, be like, you know what? I'm so grateful that baby is crying because I get that opportunity to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so grateful that, the thing got glitched because we get to spend a little bit more time or whatever, the scenario. You have to try to turn it into something positive so that you can continue to reap positive things.
There's a TikTok video I saw where this guy, he interviews people like in the streets or whatever, and he asks this kid or this dude, it looks like a college town, and the dude was like, all right, let me ask you something. It's like, if I give you $1 million tomorrow, would you take it? He goes, yeah, of course, $1 million. Okay, what if you knew you were going to die the following day?
Right.
If you took the $1 million, would you take it? He goes, no, of course not. It's like, so there you go. Your life is worth way more than $1 million.
Yeah, I see that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, take advantage of every opportunity that you have every day. Yeah.
So let's go back to real estate a little bit, right? You have 2 properties right now. Congratulations.
Right. Thank you.
What's your goal for the property? I know you want to sell it eventually, but do you set yourself like time frames here, like benchmarks? What does that look like?
Yes. Well, we were talking about that earlier. Yeah. So depending on the property, if it's going to be like a turnover really fast.
Yeah. Under 750.
Yeah. When it's a little bit on the higher end, then we set that expectation. So that way nobody gets frustrated. Like, oh, why isn't it selling? But even then, I'm still hustling. I'm still doing open houses. I'm still doing broker caravan, social media. I mean, anything that we can to promote that property, because the more people that look at it, the more opportunity that we get.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, just to tell you the story of the owners currently, they weren't looking to buy that property. They actually went to an open house and then they fell in love with it. And so they're like, you know what, let's make an offer on it. And so they ended up buying it. And that's kind of what happens with a lot of people. If you don't put that property out there, then nobody's going to know about it. If you don't do open houses where people can actually walk in and take a glimpse of it, just the excitement of the property, they can start sharing it with somebody else. That I always say, you're always a conversation away from a totally different life, which means, to me is like, you might know somebody that knows somebody that might want that house. Like we were just talking about on the 50 acres, you said you might have somebody that might be interested in it.
The business that they're in,
right?
It would
it's an opportunity
them.
for them. And if I wouldn't have mentioned it,
I would have never mentioned it.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
So top of mind is the main thing in real estate with any property, not just with that one, with any of them. You want the more people that go look at that property, the more chances that it's going to close.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that you can probably do too on the show is like whoever your person is that you're having as a guest,
right? Whatever
listing they have, say it out loud. Say the address,
right?
Say how many bedrooms, like, because I feel like I don't know, like for me, it's like it's a perfect opportunity because now you have an engaged audience,
right?
And you can tell them that it's like, all right, where is it? What is it? How many? Like, what are you excited about the place? Because when you get a property, I mean, the 50 acres is pretty straightforward. It's, it's for what you said is going to be like, or hopefully.
But you also have to go look at it because of views, the location. Yeah. I mean, there's so many opportunities that everybody has a different vision for anything. Like if I sell a property, you might have a vision for that property and so might have another vision for that property. Especially like in Santa Maria area, I sell a property and I have like 3 different clients and one of them has like business potential, like, oh, I'm going to build an ADU, a junior ADU, blah, blah, blah. And other ones are like, nope, we just want privacy, quiet, whatever. Yeah. And then other ones are like, oh, we just want to fix it, flip it, and sell it. Mm-hmm. So everybody is different. Everybody has different views.
Do you prefer the house to be furnished or not furnished? Because to me, in my head, not furnished, you can picture stuff.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Okay. I would say minimal furnish. Not if the house is vacant, I would probably stage it. And the reason why is because a lot of the times people lack that vision, of seeing the potential. So if you go in an empty room, they might not be able to picture the bed or whatever, how it's going to fit. And they might think, oh, the room's too small or the room's too big or whatever the scenario is. And then there's other times where people do have a vision and they're like, oh, I know what I can do here, da, da, da. But not every client has the same vision. So at least if you have minimal, like at least like a little bed, just to show, the space around it, then it gives it a little bit more of a vision, I would say. Not clutter, because clutter just kind of, as soon as somebody comes in, they're like, it feels overwhelmed. And it's not the house, it's just the stuff around it, I had plenty of houses that were priced right and good location, a really nice house, but there was just way too much stuff in there that the people couldn't really see themselves living there. So therefore, as soon as they open and they're like, I'm like, but look, but look at the yard, look at this. And no. So it just depends.
So my mom is 58, 59, something like that. And I know there's houses for 55 and plus.
Right.
How would you talk to her about potentially like getting that process going, like thinking about that process?
Well, the 55 and over is actually a really good opportunity. So you get a property, a really decent property for a decent price. Depending on the area, like for example, Sierra Bonita, they're not too strict, on certain things. So it gives it a little bit more opportunity. It feels more like home. It feels more like a community. But not enclosed, you know? There's that other area right here behind Food for Less.
The Quail.
That one's a community. That one is private. They're a little bit more strict on their guidelines and the HOA. So every section has like a little HOA. So they have rules and regulations where who can be there, who cannot be there, and rules in general. And so they're a little bit more strict on their rules. So depending on the circumstances of the buyer, we have to look at their needs and wants. Are they going to have their grandkids over a lot? Are they not going to have their grandkids over a lot?
For the sake of this, yes. Grandkids over.
Yeah. So then I would say Sierra Bonita.
Okay.
On Sierra Bonita, they're considered like PUDs. So PUDs means that they're not duplex, because they're not how do you say it? They're not attached and selling together. A duplex basically is 2 units in one. A PUD is an individual dwelling. It's attached, but it's attached by the garage. So therefore you can't really hear, like, no common walls like in the property, but the garage are attached.
Okay.
But some of those in the corners, they're not even attached. They're just the single unit. So those are like good opportunities as well.
And more expensive probably. A
little bit more expensive, but they're nothing compared to what's out there in the market for anybody else. So I would say if you can afford it, that's a great opportunity for anybody that's 55 and over. Also, I helped a client, which was the daughter. The daughter bought the house for the mom. So you can buy. So this is why it's important to have the right realtor and read the HOA.
Yeah.
Because on Quail Run, you have to be the owner. You can't rent the place out. Yeah. You have to live there, and you have to have everybody that's living there 55 and over, right? Sierra Bonita, as long as one person is there living that's 55 and over, you should be fine. The daughter bought the property, but the mom lives there. So opportunities are there. It's just, getting the right guidance.
God.
And every community is different. So that's why it's important to look at, the the HOA, the community, rules and regulations, and obviously location.
Yeah, because I think people that are my mom's age right now, they're in that limbo area where, okay, they've been working their whole lives. Right. What are they going to do after they're getting closer and closer to what they're supposed to say retirement?
Right.
So how does that look like, especially when, they're not technically retired, but they're over 55? Mm-hmm. I think that's a good opportunity.
I think it's a great opportunity. Yeah. It's a great opportunity because if you try to go look at a regular house, I mean, even in Oak Meadows are in the 500s and they're smaller. And it's just different. You get more people within your age that you get to, they have a park, they have a lot of activities that they can do. So there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to tell her.
Yeah, tell them. Call me.
Is there anything you want to end the show with? Because I know today was a rough start.
Right.
But I think
it's all your fault.
I think ending in a positive note would be good. And even now I can see it glitching a little bit, but I'll figure that out later. We'll see what it plays back and what that looks like. But for the most part, we did it. We recorded something. It's an episode. Lo hicimos.
Mm-hmm. Si se puede.
Si se puede.
Yeah, no, to end, I would just say, we're all going to have obstacles along our way. I always say negativity and worrying about things is kind of like just sitting in a rocking chair. You're worried and worried and worried, but it doesn't get you anywhere. So as long as you're grateful, you practice gratitude, you'll start seeing more positive things coming your way. Trust me on that. I'm living expert on that. But don't worry about any obstacles, any rocks on your way, any curveballs, anything. Just focus and go through with it. So that's kind of the only thing that I have to say for today. And follow me on Instagram, Realtor Elizabeth Gutierrez. Let me know if you guys want something for us to talk about specifically. But
let her know if you want to be on the show.
Yeah, if you guys want to be on the show.
Talk to your producer.
Yeah, talk to the producer. Send me a message and I'll send you guys my producer's name and contact info. But yeah, let me know what you guys want me to talk about, if you guys want to be part of the show. And that's it. Stay positive. Si se puede.